Hello and welcome back to the Ash and Stone channel. My name is Chris and today I'm going to show you how I painted the second Surma, this time in a menacing red. I start with the base and movement tray this time, separating the model from the base. Of course last time I did not know what I wanted to do for the base from the start, but this time I do, and it's easier to prep the base before we put a miniature in the way. So I slather on some ready mix filler, smoothing it about to give us a textured cave floor. The ready mix filler gives us a little grit, some facets and some smoother areas, making for an interesting rocky texture. To add to that, I press in a few larger chunks of sand while it's still wet, adding a couple of smaller stones to the surface. I also glue down a section of finer sand to begin work on that transition from the smooth inside of the cave to the sandy soil at the mouth, just like the last one. The Surma itself is primed in a light grey this time, and the primer is touched up with a little Vallejo light grey to cover up any areas that have been missed or haven't received a solid coat. Then the model is given a generous dry brush of white. We're going to be using a speed paint to do the bulk of the work, so pre-shading or slap chop or whatever the kids are calling it today gives us a good base to work from. Slafter red is the base colour I want, so I give the underside of the model a reasonable coat. The model has a fold of skin around the midpoint of the side, and I paint up to that line, and on the inside of the legs, being careful not to stick my fingers in wet paint. We won't be able to easily access the underside of the model once it's glued down, so this is our chance to hit all the spots we need. When I'm happy, I put that aside to dry and give the base and movement tray a coat of black to prime the filler and sand. And because that dries faster than the speed paint, I give it a heavy dry brush of an earthy grey. The model can then be glued to the base, locking them together and giving me something to hold while painting the model. To continue that, I paint the rest of the model's body with slaughter red, trying to avoid the skull-like head and jaws. By painting the underside up to the modelled fold, we've got a physical barrier between where the first layer of speed paint went on and where the second starts. That way, if we are careful, we don't end up with a border of double strength speed paint where the two layers meet. Instead, they butt up to each other really easily and match tones really well. When I start to paint the legs, I grab a second brush and some speed paint Grim Black. The red is painted down the legs to somewhere between the elbow and wrist, or knee and ankle, and the black is painted onto the feet while the red is still wet. I then use the black brush to blend the two paints together, giving me a nice gradient between the two colours, the red fading into the black. I wash the black brush between each leg to make sure that the black going onto the foot isn't discoloured by the red where I don't want it. To finish off the base colours, I use slaughter red to paint the flesh around the creature's eyes, and a little Grim Black to base the spines or spurs sticking out from its arms. With the base down, it's time to add some highlights, and for that I use Vallejo Brown Rose. It's simply dry brushed over all of the areas of red, picking up that excellent scale texture. It does a couple of other things for us too. It mutes the red a little, taking us from an extremely vibrant red to something a little more faded. And secondly, oftentimes the speed paint will be washed out on the higher points of the model, so by hitting them with the dry brush, it gives us a richer highlight, moving away from washed out white. That's followed up with a dry brush of Vallejo Sunset Orange. This is applied on the top surfaces of the model, again picking at the high points of the detail. Doing this will give us an interesting transition to the model. If you're looking at it from the top, it will look quite yellow, but if you look at it from the sides or below, it will appear very red, which is just a cool effect. To enhance that a little more, I hit the upper areas with a dry brush of Green Stuff World, Colour Shift Metallic, Burning Gold. Rather conveniently, this paint shifts between red and yellow depending on the angle you are viewing it from. It adds to the desired effect. It also adds a metallic sheen to the scales, though a lot of that will be lost with the upcoming flat coats. Speaking of which, I hit the model with a coat of Tamiya Flat Clear. I'm using the original formulation of speed paint, which suffers from that notorious bleed through effect, so I need a barrier between it and the colours to come. When that's dry, I hit the model with another quick dry brush of the Colour Shift paint in order to enhance the effect, though as we will soon see, this was a mistake. In order to match the two Surma together, despite their different hides, I'll be doing the same skeletal effect I did on the original. So just like the first one, I go through and paint on the areas of white markings with Vallejo Light Grey, followed by Sky Grey, with a final highlight of white. And this is where the trouble occurs. It's hard to pick up on camera, but there is a very noticeable yellowing of the white areas. It turns out the Colour Shift paints also have a bleed through effect. Not something I've come across before, as it's not normally a paint I cover over. So I give the offending areas a quick coat of Tamiya Flat Clear with a brush. You have to be really careful when using Tamiya paints over acrylics, as they are alcohol based, and if the acrylic is not 100% dry, or you pass over an area more than once, you'll start stripping the acrylic beneath, which is not fun. So avoid if possible. With that, I reapply the white to hide the yellowing. However, it does not work. The brush on Flat Clear does not create a barrier that will stop the bleed through. Good to know. So we'll just have to give the model another spray. But that can wait until I've got the rest of the paint job done. The inside of the mouth and jaw webbing is painted with Vallejo Royal Purple and given a wash of army painted dark tone, just like the first Surma. While I wait for that to dry, the eyes are picked out with Vallejo Scarlet Blood, with a highlight dot added forward of centre with Sunset Orange. I considered going with a blue or yellow for the eyes, but felt that the fluoro red was different enough from the skin to stand out. I'm not entirely happy with the finish of the speed paint on the feet, so I use Vallejo Black Grey to fill in the highlights and base the claws and spines. This just tidies up the patchy, washed out areas and gives a more solid colour. Just like the first Surma, I mix in a little Vallejo Iraqi sand to get a highlight for the claws and spines, before mixing in a touch more for a final, more extreme highlight. By this time the wash in the mouth has dried and I can go back through and reapply the Royal Purple to bring the colour back. Vallejo Off-White is used to pick out the teeth, being very careful to leave a border of black and purple around each of them, making them really stand out from the jaws and each other. They are then given a quick highlight of white to really make them pop, the off-white leaving them with a yellowish tinge that sets them apart from the skull markings. The model is then given a fresh coat of sprayed on Tamiya Flat Clear, removing unwanted shine, sealing our paint job so far, and adding a barrier between the Colour Shift paint and our white. With that dry, we paint on the white of the markings for a third time. Lesson learned. Thankfully, this time they stay white. I then add drawl strands using cat hair, just like with the first Surma, being sure to add a light layer of super glue to the hair right off the bat to aid with beading later on. Then the inside of the mouth and drawl strands are given a coat of Mod Podge gloss. I use the Mod Podge here rather than just a gloss varnish because it has an added glue component that'll just help solidify and harden the hair strands. While that dries, I do get the gloss varnish out to hit the claws and spines, just giving them a bit of a shine. The varnish dries a bit faster than the Mod Podge, mostly because it's a lighter layer, making moving on to paint other things less risky. Fluorescent red is used to give the eyes a bit of pop, making them stand out from the darker red of the creature's skin. They look especially vibrant when the light is a little dimmer. When the Mod Podge has dried, it's all given a second coat to build the shine up some more and double down on the lumpy, bubbly drool effect. A little black is used to add a slit pupil to the eyes, slicing that through the brighter forward area where we put the sunset orange earlier. And that's the model itself done, so it's time to finish off the base and movement tray. This is the same process as the first one, matching the two bases and giving us that transition effect that will tie them into my other forces. So, successively lighter grey dry brushes on the stone areas, a fresh coat of sand to the front of the base, a dry brush of khaki to highlight and blend the transition between stone and soil, a few crushed rocks are added to the back of the movement tray, a 50-50 mix of strong tone and green tone are washed over the rear of the movement tray to match the tone of the cave floor to the crushed rocks. A little beige grout is added to the front of the tray, tying it to my other bases. I add a broken skull and rusty axe to the back to jazz up the lair section of the tray, and all of the rims are painted black before I add a little greenery to the movement tray. And here's the completed model. A fearsome looking creature for sure. Different from the first one, but with enough similarities that they read as a pair, perhaps with different male and female colourings. Unfortunately, the tone shifting effect is a little lost on camera, but I assure you, it looks really good to the naked eye. Let me know what you think. Let me know which one you prefer. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Cheers!